Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest, John Morley. John is a serial entrepreneur. He is the engineer of marketing, and he is also a talk show host with a couple of different talk shows. So welcome to the show, John.
Thank you very much, Sheila. It's great to be here.
Yes, and I like to start off each show by asking a question related to my best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last, 13 months or so now, we have had just about every situation we could never imagine happen to us all. So do you have a story about a time in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track?
Absolutely. It was several years ago, and people around me were constantly telling me that I couldn't do something.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned is that when people tell you can't do something, they do that for a couple of reasons. One, because either they're jealous, they don't want you to succeed. And what I also realized, Sheila, and I only learned this in the last few years after learning the other lesson several years before, is that if people don't like me, I don't mean that people don't like me because everyone likes me, but if there aren't a few people that are a little intimidated, or maybe they're just not scared of what I'm doing, then John's not bringing his A game to the table. And he needs to really step it up.
Very good.
And when I did that, I realized that I was able to go further than I even thought was possible.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Nice. Now, do you have an example of a time maybe where you felt challenged with that, where you were kind of playing small?
Playing small?
Yeah, like you didn't want to offend anybody by being who you are, maybe. Something like that.
Yes, so I was just doing what I was doing. I'm also president of my local chamber, and I was just trying to do this very nonchalantly and very humbly and put a lot of time into it, and I turned it into a not-for-profit, a 501c3. But everyone just said, John, when are you going to go away? Like, when are you going to give up? Because I only had 3 or 4 members in the beginning. Now we have 70 and growing.
Wow.
And they said to me, John, when are you going to give up? And I said, and I'm not going to mention the person's name. I'm going to give up, sir, when a little baby boy or a little baby girl tells their parents that they don't want to learn to walk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at me and he says, he sits in his chair and he's like, when the blank is that? And I said, well, you're an intelligent man. You tell me, when have you ever heard that? He's, rubbing his face a little bit and pondering. I said, take your time. There's no rush. And he says to me, never. See, I knew you were an intelligent man. He said, you know what, John? You're arrogant. Now get the hell out of my office. So I think in these situations, the same thing happens is people don't want you to succeed. So in this case, what happened to me, Sheila, is that this thing that I was doing, I would say this, I like to say this a lot, Sheila, that nobody wants to be part of a train while it's still in the station. And I still use this today, even with some new groups that I'm growing. everyone wants to almost kill themselves to jump on the train as it's leaving the station or it's moving at several hundred miles an hour. And I joke about this with people. It's like, why is it that you don't want to come on the train yet? We haven't left the station, but we're building a great train. Yeah, you know what, John? When you get it going, let us know. Yeah, I'm not interested in getting back with you. So it's like people just don't want to support you. And I am so much from the beginning that, you need to support people. I'm also a first responder. And I feel it's so important that you have to nurture. It's almost like that dog, if you like dogs. The one dog, you come over one day, and I don't have a dog because I travel and I don't want the dogs to be sad. But, you come over and you see the dog opening the door and you're like, gee, what a smart dog. But if you were there a few weeks ago and you saw the same dog grappling to open the door, gee, what a dumb dog. Same dog, different perception.
You think about when you're younger, what fear? There is no fear because you're like, well, I can always go to my parents' house, or I can always just, sleep on somebody's sofa and start over again. And so I think that's a big thing. And especially now with the pandemic and everything. So how has the pandemic affected what you're doing for business, and how have you been able to make a change for good in that realm?
Well, a quick story on that is that, being a first responder, we were very busy with that. But then when the vaccines and stuff weren't available, I kind of pulled back a little bit because, the response I was getting, well, you're healthier than most people and other people are in more dire need than you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess what have I done is I've just embraced the fact that, okay, so we can't do business in person. So what? So what can we do? Well, we can do business virtually. Now, that's not the case for all businesses. And like I said, I own a few businesses. I own a technology company where I'm an engineer and the CEO and owner of it for 30 years young. And after, I'm going to say 10 years back from now, for many years, the tech company had a large marketing and advertising company that was doing all of its advertising, marketing, and they're supposed to know what they're doing. They're on Wall Street. They're supposed to be like the top. But, you write them checks every week, and you're working with the wrong company when they make a decision on where to take you based on your deposit. I know this sounds stupid, but I'm going to use the money 5, 15, and 20, and that's not the amount. If I give them $5, well, we're just going to go do a quick breakfast at the diner or get some donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. And if you give them 10, well, let's go do something, for lunch. Let's have a sandwich and meet up then. And then if you give them the 15, you know what? Why don't we do something quiet in the evening at Ruth Chris and go to a steakhouse? So I tried this one time. I tried playing around where one time I was supposed to send them the 15 and I said on the 5, hey, John, it's Brian's office. Hey, what can I do for you? Listen, I know you guys were supposed to go out, I believe tonight at Ruth Chris. We need to change it in the morning. You see, his mother-in-law is coming in and the wife and them, they only have one car. There's one in the shop. So they just asked, could we just do a quick breakfast? Because he just got a real smash day.
Mm-hmm.
And then another time, I decided to change it from the 5 to the 30. Hey, John, this is Melissa. Yeah, I'm calling from Brian's office. What's up? Well, you guys are supposed to get together for breakfast, but unfortunately enough, Kara, his daughter, I don't know her. No. Mm-hmm. Well, Kara's teething. And unfortunately, right now, the other car's in a mechanic, and he has to take her to the doctor. And then they have an emergency meeting after lunch that his boss called. So he was just wondering, because it's going to be a crazy day, if you guys could just do a late dinner, like 10 o'clock at Ruth Chris. And I just have to say, there's something to this. So then I decided to do some research and say, well, how do I become what these people are supposed to be, but they're not?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, my whole life, Sheila, everybody's telling me you can't market, you can't do this, you don't know marketing. And I didn't go to school for marketing. And so, it had been in my head that you can't do this. And I'm like, well, everybody else is saying I can't do this. I never said I can't do this, but everybody else is telling me I can't do this. I said, well, I don't really believe that I can't do it if I could just figure out how to do it. And I remember going to Xerox at the time and asking them for a production machine and what it would cost. And once I got some numbers and came back, I went to the wonderful PR marketing firm, and I walked into this guy's office. His name was Greg, and my account rep's name was Brian. And I walked in and I said, Greg, hey, Greg, I just want to say thank you. He says, thank you. I said, I just want to say thank you. It's been a good run. You're fired. He nearly dropped. He said, do you want a cup of coffee or something, like water or drink or bagel or something? No, I'm good. He's like, we could talk this out, buddy. Why don't we talk it out? I said, does Brian know about this? I said, I kind of told Brian that we were getting tired. Well, let me just see if I can get him. Brian, could you come in here for a second? Yeah, sure. Comes right in. Are you aware that he's pulling the account today? No, what happened? Well, I've only called you like umpteen times telling you that I'm not happy. Wow, this is a shock. I didn't know anything about it. I said, come on. I said, I've called you for the last couple of weeks, told you I'm not happy. You made a mistake on the brochure. You made all these mistakes. You knew I was going to get rid of you. Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We can drop it down. We can give you a 30% discount. I said, it doesn't matter. We're done. Mm-hmm. He says, well, how are you possibly going to exist? How are you going to survive? I said, well, we kind of bought our first production machine for $150,000. He's like, but you don't know anything about it. I said, that's why we're taking 80 hours of fire retraining and we're hiring graphic people. Yeah, but you don't know anything. I said, yeah, I don't know anything, but we're going to learn.
Yeah.
And we slowly built the small print company. Then we built a marketing company. Then we did advertising, graphic design, public relations, put that all together. And now they're calling me. They're saying, hey, how we doing? I said, we're doing great. You don't need anything. I said, no, we're all good. I said, we handle the whole thing for you. I said, we did a press release for the entire country. He's like, really? I said, you guys may want to consider talking to us. We may be able to save your clients some money. I said, because see, we actually know how to do this the right way. Mm-hmm. He says, well, how do you know all these people? I said, I'm not going to share all my tricks with you. But what I am going to share with you is something I'm really proud of. When I was coming home from college one weekend, and I said to the person next to me on the plane, I was just talking with them, and it was actually coming home from Florida. I was visiting my parents actually from Florida. They're in Naples, and I was visiting them. And I was talking to this gentleman on the plane, and he was telling me about this alumni dinner they're having for Harvard. And I said, okay. And he says, do you do keynote speaking? And first thing I said, oh, yeah, sure, I do keynote speaking. And he's like, well, we have this challenge. We need a good speaker. We don't have a big budget, and actually we have no budget. And we need somebody that can come in and speak about something really creative about Y2K. I said, yeah, I do a talk all the time. No, I didn't even do this talk. Minor major inconveniences of Y2K. I just came up with that topic. He said, that's awesome. He said, have you done it before? Yep, done it many times. Wow. So we can't pay you. But what we can do is give you a great seat. We can give you a nice dinner. And you'll have the recognition that you spoke for Harvard. I said, well, that's amazing. He says, yeah. He says, I think you'll enjoy it. So after all these years, I decided to call, and I also spoke for Yale. And I decided to call one of these people back that attended the event. And I said, hi, you might remember me. I'm such and such, and I gave the keynote at Harvard, minor major inconveniences of Y2K. Sorry, I don't remember you. I said, do you remember December such and such at the such and such house? You were actually wearing, if memory serves me correct, you were sitting at the table just to the right of me. You had a red suit on with a white blouse. And there was a lady next to you who had a blue top on. And I think you ordered steak. And she's like, who are you? I said, I'm John Morley. I was the keynote for the Harvard alumni for minor major inconveniences of Y2K. Yeah, she's like, I remember the talk. I said, that was me. She's like, really? I said, yeah, that was me. She's like, wow. And so now I made a friend. Actually, I had made a friend with her a long time ago. So then I started connecting with other media people. I'm like, hey, I know such and such. I spoke for Harvard and Yale. I was just wondering, hey, I'm building a database. I'm not going to spam you, but I wanted to send you quality stories that I think you'd like to read, that your readers would really value. And I'm not going to let anybody have access to this. I'm either going to write them or we're going to vet the stories before they go to you. She's like, oh, that would be so awesome. So I built a database of several thousand people. And everyone says, John, I'd love to have access to that database. I said, I'm not selling that database. And so what this taught me, Sheila, is that I had no idea how I was going to do this, but somehow I built a PR company. And now I get authors and different people. And if you asked me many years ago if I was going to have a tech show that interviewed authors and people around the world, I would have said, you're crazy. But it happened. And, becoming an expert in the field and now becoming an expert in marketing and LinkedIn. I'm actually the father of the LinkedIn banner, is what they've been nicknaming me. So if you know LinkedIn, there's a banner. I've come up with a very unique way of creating that banner and putting a person's story into it. And so I lead a monthly LinkedIn masterclass on how to use LinkedIn. But, all these things, Sheila, were not in my plan 20 or 30 years ago. They just kind of unfolded. And I think the biggest thing I can share with you and with everyone else out there, whether they're a business owner, whether they work for a company, or, whether they just want to start a business or they're a serial entrepreneur, is you have to be open, OPEN. So if I'm expecting, I don't know, $1 million to come in, you can't expect it to come in from this channel. It might come in from this channel or this channel. You just need to be open to where it happens. And I think that's the biggest challenge most people have, is they want it to come from a certain place. And it reminds me of a quick story you might remember. It was a religious story. And the person was somewhere and they needed help. Well, they needed help. And so suddenly let's call it God, he sends in the person to help them with a ladder. And he goes, no, I'm not leaving. God's going to help me. Okay. Guy comes in later on with a boat. No. God's going to help. Okay. So we have the ladder. We have the boat. Now they send in, let's just say it was a helicopter. No. God's going to help me. Finally, God shows up. A little later, he goes, oh, he said, what are you doing? He's like, I sent you 3 things. I sent you a ladder. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. Oh. So, I mean, it's a funny story, and I kind of changed it around a little bit, but you get the point that sometimes we expect help from someone, but it may not come in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that led me to another discovery, which is every single morning, I do a motivational tip every morning. People think I'm crazy, but I get on my phone and I record a motivational tip. Wish everyone a good morning. And I publish that out. Today's tip was actually for the letter. Today's tip was W, and it was for welcome. And when we get to the end of the alphabet, we start again. So what I said is, when you get an idea or you get people in your life or concepts, whether they're good, whether they're bad, you need to welcome everything with an open heart. And if you can do that, then the things you actually want will show up in your life.
Yes, I love that. It's almost like surrendering to what will show up as long as we're showing up.
Yes. And, you get people out there that have challenges every day and like, oh, but I need it now. I need it now. I have to do it now. Like, I understand you're in this mindset, and the way you're thinking right now is lack. So you need to think from abundance. And like, I think you're drunk. I said, no, I'm not drinking. I said, you don't understand what I'm trying to explain to you, that you have to focus on having abundance. So one of the things I love to do when I'm walking, and I take an 1.5 hour walk when it's not raining or snowing, you don't have snow by you, is I do an abundance exercise, and I love doing it. I will count and think of all the abundant things around from the letters of the alphabet. I see there's an abundance of air, there's an abundance of birds, there's an abundance of cars, and I just kind of keep going through and get you into that abundance mindset, and I just love doing that. And then I do something every once in a while. It's called my attitude of gratitude, where I'll use the same alphabet, but instead of the abundance, I'll be grateful for something. I'm so grateful for all the people in the world. I'm so grateful for all the birds. But now you're being grateful, which is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And so what I've learned is that there are going to be people out that are going to rain on your parade every single time. I mean, you're just going to have that. And so what I like to say, Sheila, is that if somebody wants to do that, that is their prerogative and their choice. It's a free world. I just tell them, I'm not really supporting what you're saying, or I really am not happy with that. So could you please knock it off? And if they don't, I just leave the situation. And people are like, oh, where are you going? I'm just not going to be around this negative behavior. What? Yeah, I'm just going to leave. Okay. And some people get it and some people never will get it, but I can't worry about the people that won't get it, Sheila. I think a lot of those people are selfish. And one of the things I always tell people, you probably know Dale Carnegie, who wrote an amazing book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. We need to strive to become interested in the other person and less worried about ourselves. So we don't matter. It's the other person that matters. This is one of the reasons that when I do one-on-ones with people, when I meet them virtually, I have a very unique way of doing it. I say, look, here's how it's going to work. It's 30 minutes. You're going to get 15 minutes at the beginning. I'm going to get 15 minutes at the end, and we're going to time them. And there's no sales pushes here. It's just getting to know each other. And a lot of the people, Sheila, you know what they tell me? Oh, that's okay. I'm not interested. Why? Because they want to do a sales call. And I'm like, well, that's not what we're doing. We're doing a mutual one-on-one. And then what I usually do is say, hey, okay, so you'll go first. That's great. Listen, would you do me a favor? Just give me a second. I have my pen. I have my pad. Would it be okay if I take notes? Because I talk to so many people and I just want to make sure I get everything right. Would that be okay with you? Yeah, sure. What I have found is that when I do that, the people that are going to resonate well still want to meet with me. The other people, because it says right on my scheduling page, for planning purposes, this is how our meeting will go. If you're like, well, what do you mean you get 15 minutes? I'm like, well, I time it. 15 minutes for you, 15 minutes for me. Oh, well, what if I need 20? I'm like, well, you get 15, I get 15. And I think people that are trying to, I guess, get more over on you, they're really takers and they're not trying to give back. And I think that's what I've learned, Sheila. I always have a good heart, but a lot of times people, they take advantage of that heart. So by using a tactic like this, which I've never had to do before because of COVID, you never had to deal with this before, but now your time is precious. So when you meet with people, you need to set a little boundary of what's going to happen. And if they can't respect that enough, then I don't want to spend the time meeting with them.
That makes so much sense. I think that sales, a lot of times the way people get sales training, they forget how to connect with the people at all. And their goal is just to sell something. And it just loses everything. And I think sales, you can look at it like sales is kind of like dating. Would you somebody say, hey, let's go now. Let's go to the hotel or something. Let's get married, whatever. Would you say that before you even got to know them, or what's your
give me your phone number and we'll figure it out later?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to. There's a certain level of connection that we need in just even in sales, in communicating, in caring, and when people feel that you care for them and you care about the community, it. All the difference. Now, when I was 23, I opened gift stores. I opened one, and then I opened 5. And I bought all the buildings in California because it was so successful. But in that store, I trained everybody that worked for me. Everybody that comes through the door is royalty. And everybody has to be me. When you work here, you're going to do what I would do. And so that was the thing. And I also helped over 200 kids that were emancipating from foster care go through a job training program. The government worked with me on that, and we helped all these kids, and the community felt it. And that's why I was able to buy the other buildings, because it wasn't about selling stuff. It was like an extension of family. People felt safe there. They felt happy. Sometimes they bought a little thing for $1 or they got free tea and left. And other times they'd spend a lot of money. It didn't even matter. And it made all the difference.
that's the difference between a personal store and big corporate America. They don't get the one-on-one. They don't get the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, virtual meetings are great, it doesn't replace us meeting in person. The energy is not the same. And so I think any kind of meeting you have, whether it's in person, whether it's online, and I run a lot of networking functions, I have a motto, and it's really simple. If you don't follow it, you're out. There are basically no hard sales allowed. Everyone's going to be treated with respect. There are no drip campaigns and no auto email subscriptions. Should we find out that anyone has done that, you'll be removed from the group permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised, Sheila, a lot of people get angry about that. And I explained to them that we're not looking for thousands of people in our group. We're looking for a high caliber of people. Now, I'm not saying this to be nasty or to be a snob, but what I am saying is that I want to work with people that understand the level of integrity that I expect.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't want to do that because they're just trying to push a sale. And I think that's how their company has trained them. And that's what's really wrong with America. They're just always out for that next sale, and they don't really care about you or I or how we feel after we get the product. Well, you got the product. Okay, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it after it happens. How many people do you know, or how many realtors do you know that when they sell the house, I tell them to go get a bucket of either chicken or pizza, and bring the pizza or bring the food to them after the sale is closed, meet their family and say, hey, you know what? How do you like your new home? Well, this is great. I wanted to come and have some pizza with you and share your home. Oh, this is wonderful. Listen, I have one request for you. The pizza, and I also brought the kids ice cream. I have one request, and the request is that the next time you have somebody you happen to hear that's moving, or if you're ever moving, would you just give them my name?
Makes all the difference.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to the sponsors of this episode, Lindsay Cluen. If you are ready to supercharge your healing journey and have more joy and clarity in your life, Lindsay Cluen is here for you. Lindsay's truest passion has been supporting sensitive souls like you with her intuitive readings, healing, and classes for over 12 years. Lindsay amplifies what supports your best and highest intentions while gently clearing away what doesn't support you. Every session is unique and is catered to your questions, hopes, and dreams. Her clients have experienced profound healing on every layer, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Her website includes testimonials like this. As I'm writing this, the morning after the session, I feel like parts of me and my past have been healed. I feel more clear-headed, lighter, and more connected to spirit. Another says, she has not only helped me navigate some very tough times, but she has also helped several of my family members. Talking to Lindsay is like talking to a guardian angel. Book your session or register for her classes at www.lindsaycluen.com. That's www.lindsaycluen.com. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you. to be honest. I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mac Show on YouTube. And there you can see past recordings, and you can also see other information and shares that I have. And I would love for you to share in the comments there what you're needing more of and what you're rebooting this year and how we can help you get back on track.
Somehow, after the gift stores and during, I got into real estate because the other store owners wanted me to help them buy their own buildings as well. And I said, well, gosh, I can like make a commission and save on commission, and why not? So I got years ago, and I wasn't like, they came to me because they trusted me. I wasn't trying to be a real estate agent at that time. I was, like an investor more, buying my own buildings. I was like, okay, fine, I'll help you. And it was interesting because even though I had teams, and I still have teams, and I teach an online course in real estate, believe it or not, and that's my other hat that I wear. And so with that, I still have people that are like, no, but I want you to help me with the house, or help me with buying tips, or this and that. And I'm like, well, I have a whole team, but they still want to work with me in some respect or another. And I'm like, I'm not even like marketing that right now. So but they know that they're going to be safe. They're not going to get sold on the most expensive house. They're going to get the house that fits their needs, and it's going to be the best, or the commercial building, and they're going to get the best, honest approach. I don't care about the commission. You get to a point where I really never did. I care about the people. It's people first, and the commissions show up. Even when you're not even like marketing that you're doing something, they're like, please, okay, fine. And so that happens. They just know it's coming from a heart space versus try to get what's in your wallet and goodbye. How are you going to refer? You wouldn't refer that real estate agent to somebody else.
I love that, because when you can talk about the heart, and you can talk about what I always say is beyond the sale, after the sale, then you've done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
In our technology business all the time, obviously we're calling to see other technologies working. But a lot of times we'll call them and say, everything, yeah, so how's the family doing? Yeah, everybody's good. And that kind of comes naturally. Because like we call, it's like, everything's fine. Okay. So I said, that's the problem. I said, I think we fix things too well.
Mm.
And, I think people today, a lot of them like that trust, but then there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that are about the dollar, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
and they are about non-loyalty. So I think in all industries, there is that toss up. And so, especially now with like COVID or something happening, I rather support my local places because, they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's important with businesses going out every day. But I think it's just about caring about the people, knowing not only that they care and that you care, but also that you're going to give what I call value. And value is not money. Value is something else you're going to do for the client or the prospective that no one else is going to do. And that's why somebody's going to connect and do business with you. One of the things I do with everyone is I offer them a 15-minute consult. And I give them a few free tips on their LinkedIn. And I say, look, this is what you should do this. You should do this. You should probably do this. And I would change this color. Does that make sense? Oh, yeah, that's great. Where do we go from here? I said, well, that's it. Okay. I said, I have another appointment I have to move on to. So, well, what do you mean? I said, well, we're not done. I said, yeah, it's a 15-minute consult. And I just, well, no, I want to go further. I said, whether you need to hire us. Well, I want to do that. Okay, we'll book another time on our calendar, pick this, buy a time. So I don't even ask them for the sale, Sheila.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, well, this is what you should do. I would do this if I was in your shoes and I don't like that color. I would switch that. Well, what color? Not sure. Well, can I call you back again? And then they want to keep calling you for 15 minutes. Like, well, no, now you need to hire us. Like, it's like the 15 minutes was so you could kind of see what we're about and get some free tips.
Right.
I think a lot of people, you want to go to a site, you want to put an email address in, and I get it for an email list or a book, so people could market them. But I see sometimes if you could just get them to contact you and you have a meeting with them, but then you don't bother them anymore. You just let them stay.
Right.
And that's why after a meeting, I don't even follow up with them. If somebody wants to join my email list, that's fine. But I don't make people that want to come and meet with me join email lists, because I know a lot of people do that. And I feel that's like very cheap, because it's like it's very shafted, where they know I'm going to go after them and they're going to have to buy something. And that's just not my approach. I just want people to get value. And, we do things like we do giveaways sometimes. And the only thing we ask is, hey, would you do us a favor if you like what we did for you? Would you give us a testimonial?
Right.
And I think the problem today, and you know this, Sheila, you've been doing this a long time, is there's two things. There's something called a introduction, and there's something called a referral. An introduction is somebody that you will, mention that you want me to talk to, but they're not a referral. So that might be somebody you just met a few months ago, but you don't really have a lot about them. Hey, Sheila, I met this person. I think that might be good to talk with you a few months ago. And I let them know it's an introduction. And now I probably put 5% of my reputation on the line. 5%, that's it. But if I said, hey, Sheila, this is a great guy you need to talk to. I know he needs some help in this area. He wants to get started right away. And I think this would be something you should talk to him about. And now that's a little different, because now I put my reputation on the line. And people, I think, today are a little bit skeptical of doing that, because I think they jump too fast to do a referral, and then it blows up in their face.
That is a good point, and it's something to really be cautious when I do refer my friends to other real estate agents, let's say. I make sure that I know that they're top sellers, that I've worked with them, that I've had lunch or dinner with them. I know their family, and I know that they're going to do 110% just like I would. They're really taking my place, because I can't do that area. I can't, go do that and do everything else I'm doing now. And so that I won't refer somebody that I don't know, or that maybe doesn't have the track record.
Track record. And also you're kind of building a level of trust with them, because if something goes wrong with that relationship, for example, you referred, let's say, somebody to another agent. And if something goes wrong with that transaction, they're not coming back to the realtor, they're coming back to you.
Exactly.
And so I think most people don't realize that, like, something as simple as, hey, if anybody needs accounting, let me know. And I'll tell you, for years, Sheila, I would never want to refer an accountant. I've been through a few of them. And recently, in the last year, we picked up another person that I was referred to, started doing work with them, very happy. But suddenly I'm now comfortable to refer. I think it was because I didn't have enough trust in the accountant that they were going to do the right job and they were going to do the right thing. So I think that's probably the most important thing, is that when you have the right person, the referral happens naturally. But when it becomes forced, or someone says, hey, can you refer me somebody? But there's no natural synergy there, or, it's like pushed, then that's just not going to work out. And, that's why a lot of these groups, you hear all these groups, well, you have to refer so many people a week. How can you refer so many people a week? You don't even know the people, right? How do you refer somebody? Oh, you have to give them so much business, but you don't even know what they do. You don't even know the quality of their work. You've never seen what kind of kitchens they put in. You've never seen what they do. I mean, even a car salesperson, right? You go to buy your car or lease your car. How many of us want to refer a car person? Nobody. I had a gentleman, very, very nice guy. I've always had bad experiences buying a car because they always are pushy. And I walk out.
Oh.
And, I go somewhere else. And, I think the moral of the story is that a lot of these people, they all say they're going to do something, but at the end of the day, they don't. And so, like, in that industry, they play nice so you can fill out the survey for a few months. And then they magically go off the table. If somebody tells you they're going to do something for you, don't tell me something so you're going to close the deal with me. because later on, you're going to remember that. And so I just have that problem when people lie intentionally and they have no qualms about it and they really don't want to help the other person. They're just trying to placate the person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that bothers me. So I always like to give people great service and make sure they understand that, yes, you have a choice to do business with other people, but let's make sure you understand what's going on. Now, that doesn't mean me telling you everything I'm going to do verbatim so you could go take my plan somewhere else. It does mean having a confidence. We get this a lot in the IT company. Well, we want a quote of everything you're going to put in. Okay. No, we want a quote of all the manufacturer part numbers, everything. No, we want everything spelled out. Why? So you can go shop it and then have someone else, do our installation or take our ideas. And now what I say to people is, look, I would love to do that for you. So here's how we do this. I can give that to you right now. If you want the quote, here's the fee for a detailed proposal. Are you charging for that? Yeah, that's $500. You're charging for a quote. It's not a quote. It's a bill of materials that you can go build and put the same solution together, whether you hire us or not. Oh, but if you come to us, we'll take the $500 off our price, off our quote.
Nice.
And so I think people sometimes have to understand that, I understand people want to shop, but I don't think it's fair for us to put time into something and then have somebody exploit that. So now what I say to people is I say that, and if they're not willing to budge, I say, look, you know what? It sounds like you're just focused on price. And I get it. We may not be a match. What do you mean? We may not be a match. If you're totally looking on price, I would tell you to go somewhere else. And they look at me like I'm crazy. You mean you're telling me to go somewhere else? I'm like, I am. I'm actually telling you to go somewhere else. I can give you a few other names of who you should call. And they think I'm like nuts because I don't want to do business with someone, Sheila, that is just about price.
Yes.
It's got to be about the value.
Now, John, you're in IT also.
I'm an engineer that owns an IT company. Yes, Sheila.
Okay, so I have had, and I have so many friends that are coaches and authors and everything else that have hired IT companies for one way or another and have gotten burned in one way or another. And sometimes the people have great intentions, but then they hire out to some people in another country and the work doesn't get done. Even though you think you're getting the people in front of you, it's not who's going to work with you. And so things fall by the wayside and it happens, or the people just leave. I build a website or do something for you and then they take off. They don't meet lines. They, I learned WordPress. Let me tell you, I built my own site because it was dropped. And I was like, well, I guess I've got this. And just like you have to learn something. You have to figure it out yourself. That's fine. I don't ever want to do it for full-time work. Thank you very much. But it's something that happens a lot. How can people that are listening in screen for that, especially those that are just starting a new business or maybe a side business and they're investing their money at an interesting time where they want to make sure that investment gives them the results that they want?
So a couple things. First of all, for your answer, I'm not a big WordPress fan, but just to tell you, if you're using WordPress, do make sure you're updating it every month when the new updates come out, because the security patches will kill you. That's the most important thing. And you can set it to automatically update. Yeah. And if you download any plugins for it, do make sure that you pay for the subscription for the plugins if they're not free, and you do update them because they're going to burn you on security. But to answer your question about how do you know, because I've been developing software for many years and I know what you're talking about. And so the challenge comes in, I give somebody a quote to do a website or to do something. So my marketing company designs the websites, but it hires JMore to do the back end because the marketing company is not an IT company.
Right.
But the client doesn't need to deal with that. It's just, we do the website, all custom, everything back end. But here's what we do. we put together a scope of work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I also recommend that you not pay the people in full. This is what happens. Now, somebody who's wanting to work with you won't suggest this.
Mm-hmm.
I usually say half up front, half at the end, or if it's a larger project, well, let's get a third now once we've done the first milestone, once we've shown this, let's get a third on this and let's get a third on that at the end. So that's one good way. Another thing you can do is you could put the money into an escrow account. So it gets escrowed, and they're usually a small fee. They're online escrows, and what they do is they make sure you're satisfied before the money is fully released. But I think it comes down to understanding what you want, and that's communication. If somebody's trying to build a website for you and trying to get money out of you very quickly, that's a red flag. When I talk to somebody, like, for example, we were developing an app for somebody who was patenting something, and we had a couple conversations. I said, go shop around, do whatever you'd like. And this is what we can do. This is our price tag. Well, can you go any lower? I'm like, this is the best we can do. Oh, my friend can do it for this. I'm like, then go get your friend. And then they showed us some work that their friend did. And they said, what do you think of the work? I said, look, I'm not here to give you, I'm not here to criticize. Okay. But from a professional standpoint, we're going to do it differently. Well, what's wrong with it? Well, again, I'm not here to criticize what they did or your family member did. There are standards that are followed, and that didn't follow best practices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you mean? Well, I don't think it's professional to get into it.
Right.
And so I think at the end of the day, Sheila, it comes down to, talking to the people that are going to do the work for you. But again, not being in a rush. When somebody is, for example, we're in New Jersey, and if somebody hired us from out of state, they might be a little bit nervous. But I say, look, this is what we've been doing. We've been doing this for X years. We have a national talk show. We have a TV show in Princeton. So we've been around for a while. A lot of people don't have that. I tell people, look, you can call me anytime you want. You can call our office anytime you want. Here is my extension. When you dial my extension, you're going to get me during the week. It's a new concept. Whether I'm here, whether I'm on my phone, you're actually going to get me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I said, yeah, that's something new. So we don't hide behind the phone, and we call people back. I think to advise people is that they need to understand what they want. If they don't know what they want, then it comes down to something called consulting. If somebody has no clue and it's beyond a quote and we have to figure out what they need, well, then you got to charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody doesn't know, like, I'm starting a new business, well, what do I do? And there's obviously things we could do to help somebody, but then spending 4 hours on the phone with them and them hiring someone else. So I think you have to know, what do you want? Do you want a website? Do you want a VPN? I mean, what are you trying to accomplish? And then getting an understanding of, what are you getting? So we build custom PCs, but we also use name brand PCs. Mm-hmm. And knowing that you got a warranty, so that if something happens with that company, do you have coverage? We use Lenovo all the time. They're one of the highest and the lowest break rate in the industries. But I make sure the customer knows, look, you click on this icon, you see over there, it shows 5-year warranty. That's what you paid for. You got a 5-year warranty, not just with us, but with Lenovo directly. You can call them, but you can always call us, but you have a direct warranty with them in that number. A lot of people play games. They play games, Sheila, with licenses, where we actually lost a client many years ago. We were doing great work, and the guy said, your competitor can actually do it for $500 less. I said, okay. I said, well, $500 is the cost of the license. Yeah, well, he's making it disappear.
Yeah.
We'll give you like $50 and you can do whatever you want with it. I'm like, well, that's illegal. And so we're not going to operate like that. So a lot of these places that you've dealt with, if you're dealing with someplace overseas, that's a red flag right away. And if you can't get them on the phone and you can't physically hear them, that's another red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Or they say, gee, WhatsApp us,
Mm-hmm.
or, you need to text us. That's another red flag. Okay. I never tell people, I don't want to use WhatsApp at all. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just WhatsApp us. And then we go back and forth, and WhatsApp's not secure, by the way. Mm-hmm. I like Telegram. And if you send messages from iPhone to iPhone, you have to make sure iMessage is enabled. But the moral of the story is how you can make sure that you're getting a good company is you'll ask questions. Are you insured?
Mm-hmm.
So we're insured. Ask them how much you're insured for. Who are you insured with? How long have you been with that company? If you're with a company for X years, do you have workman's compensation? Who is your workman's compensation through? Nobody thinks to ask these questions. So you've done work. What other websites have you done? What can you share with me? What other work can you share with me? What's a standard time frame on this project? Things like that. What are you doing? What happens at the end of the year? Who owns the name? All kinds of things like this. And I find that a lot of these companies, they play games, Sheila, and then people have the surprise factor. Oh, that's going to be $1,000. Well, why? Oh, because that's a fee that comes up. Well, you never said anything about it before. No, it's just something you have to pay. Everybody does it. And they don't explain it. So I think it's about communicating, Sheila, and knowing what they're getting involved with. So again, a website, different systems are out there, but just knowing what they're trying to achieve and accomplish. And that's the first goal. And if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, then you need to consult. Because if you don't even know what you want, now you may know you want a website, which is fine, but if you didn't even know what you want, or even in the world of social media, I always says, oh, gee, I can get this company to do my post for $39 a month. I said, that's not us. And they're overseas, and now they have access to your social media. I said, oh, that's terrible.
Right.
That is terrible. And when you see accounts and they go on these other platforms I'm not even going to mention, and then their accounts get blocked.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to go on these platforms. Oh, well, we don't allow you to use a phone number. You cannot communicate with your partner. You can only do things through text. And you don't want to work with companies like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what people need to understand is, yes, they're going to pay a little more money for a U.S. company. And that is warranted. But to avoid any kind of challenges, ask some questions. And if the people are rushing you to do something, or if you don't feel right, back off. Ask some questions like, how is this going to work? Or what do I do later on? What if I grow? Is it going to be scalable? Oh, no, it's not going to be scalable. That's going to be another 10,000. So you have to ask these questions up front. And if you could do that, then you're at least halfway there. But I think there's no 100 questions you can ask. It's just doing your knowledge about feeling comfortable and really just feeling comfortable about the company, what they've done, see some of their projects, and, asking some intelligent questions. And if somebody has to give you an answer, or if somebody tells you, hey, it's going to be my power went out or something, that's the common question. Oh, my power went out. We're going to have a meeting. And if they want to have meetings with you, like on another time zone, not 3 hours behind or ahead, you're not working with a reputable company. Oh, we're going to talk to you at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
So but this is the problem. But when you get those companies and they're working for $10 a day, you think you're getting this great deal.
Mm-mm.
But if they suddenly have access to your bank account or all that information, you don't want to do that.
No.
And you don't want their information to be in there. And also, a last thing I'm going to tell you is that there's big attacks now coming from Russia and China, as you may be aware.
Mm-hmm.
And people are getting, we've had hundreds of these coming in, and we've had to change IPs like crazy, all because China and Russia decides they want to try to attack a site. Now, they're not getting in, but we still detect them. And they have nothing better to do with their time than keep buying IP addresses that are overseas. And there's no rules over there. So we must have literally blocked about 200 IP ranges, not one address, an entire block.
Wow.
And so they have nothing better to do with their time. They're just trying to hack into something because they think it's going to be worth it. We had a medical company just last week, and we flagged the company that was doing business with us, a medical company, saying, hey, John, we can't get to the billing site. I'm like, I know. Well, we'll fix it. I said, we can't, because the company you're using has a certificate that's not valid. Oh, we'll just fix it so it works. I said, so you're asking me to lie to the firewall to tell it it's okay? Yeah, just put it. I said, okay, so here's what we're going to need from you. We're going to need a letter signed stating that you agree that you want us to go against the firewall policies we've set up to allow this certificate to masquerade as something else, and you release us from liability. Sign that and fax it back. Like, oh, we're not going to do that. I'm like, well, then yeah. We talk with a third-party company, and they're like, oh, it's not really a problem. Like, yeah, it is. I said, let me let you know that it's a $20,000 fine per violation, and you could be brought up, and my client could be brought up, and I could tell you something. They're probably going to sue you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to research this. I said, well, let me tell you this. If it's not fixed within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to personally recommend that they leave your services. Okay, well, don't get so excited because, we want to keep everyone happy. I said, I understand, but I also don't want a lot of smoke and mirrors here. I want it fixed. All right, we can tell you how to fix it. How do I fix it? Well, what modern firewall? No. What you're going to tell me is how to Band-Aid it so it works. I said, that's not fixing it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the problem. Even big public insurance companies, Sheila, are doing this.
Wow.
So we don't trust. I have something called zero trust when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone except ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. So now we are coming to the end of our talking time. So I'd like to ask you how people can connect with you and learn more about your companies and all you're doing.
That'd be great. So the easiest way to connect with me is going to be on LinkedIn. You can actually just go to linkedin.com /in/JOHN, the letter C, MORLEYIV. That's one of the best ways. One of my websites, and also you can check out my show there, is jmor.com. And under social, you can see all the shows that I do. For our marketing company, it's Our Print Connection. That's OUR, printconnection.com. And the last thing I would tell you to check out is my national network, which is on YouTube, Envision Networking, 2 words. And every week, I publish a science experiment of how to network and just kind of giving people tips like the rubber band. Mm-hmm. We actually have a hard-boiled egg coming up later this week, but I won't let that out of the bag. So we try to spend a lot of time putting together things that are going to be like, gee, that's interesting. And that's what I really want to do. I want to create those aha moments, and maybe one of them will go viral. Who knows?
Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show. And if you are listening in, we'll be back after these messages.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. So if life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMack.com today.
The Hebo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build the red corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95 plus shipping. To order, please visit lovemysupertea.com. That's love, L-O-V-E, my, M-Y, super, SUPERTEA.com. So the complete website is lovemysupertea.com. Or call us at 818-288-4128, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5 California time. That's lovemysupertea.com at 818-288-4128.